Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to just recap what happened this Friday at Heathrow Airport Terminal number 2, because obviously everybody is talking about it and people need help, and I definitely needed help and some guidance beforehand, which didn't come from my airline. So just to kind of start from the beginning, the big mistake was to book with Flybe. If you look at their Trustpilot, they have the worst, 81% of worst reviews, just bad, 1 star. But this was a business trip, and I didn't have much choice to, say, book different airlines. So basically, my flight was 8:45 to Belfast city, so it's a domestic flight. And I was talking to the client, and they kind of agreed, we don't have to go there 3 hours before or even 2 hours before the flight, because it's pretty much domestic and it's all good. So I got there over 1 hour before the flight approximately. And I don't think it was that bad, because I kind of thought, obviously I wanted to catch that flight, but I was there are 2 more flights after that. So I was in the worst case scenario, I can get the next flight. So not really stress too much about it. And I did arrive, and I went to my kiosk, basically the check-in for the flight B, and they were really in a hurry. And the weird question was, they asked me because I had a luggage with my equipment with me, and they asked me, did you pay for this luggage? I'm yeah, can't you see that in the system? What kind of question is that? And they were okay, you have to go now, you have to go, you have to run. I'm what do you mean? It's half an hour before the gate closes. Okay, so I think I'm pretty good, because the gate never closes on time, to be honest. I was flying quite a lot in my life, and the gate, it never closes exactly on that time. And it was okay, you have to join the queue because it's big. I was yeah, sure. I went to join the queue, which was pretty much leading, because I couldn't find the end of it. So I was trying to figure out where the hell am I supposed to stand? And everybody was just redirecting me, this is not the queue, you have to go back. I'm well, I'm where? So I went following people, and I ended up all the way to the end, at the end. So basically, it was at the entrance. So exactly at the entrance to the terminal, that was the queue, was going like this all the time. And I joined from there. So I was okay. And I mean, it wasn't moving slow, but it was so huge and long that it took a while, okay? But I was still kind of come on, I have all this time, I'm still really good on time, right? So it was because you just basically fly through security, I know exactly what to do. I just put the bag there, fly into it, and the gate was A1, so I was pretty sure it's pretty close to the security. So if I run, I can be there in 2 minutes, maybe pretty much in 2 minutes. So I was still kind of yeah, it's gonna be close, but I'm gonna be able to do it. And finally I got, it was my turn. So basically, before you enter the security zone, you have to scan your boarding pass. And I scanned my boarding pass, and it showed me the message, you are in the wrong zone, you have to go to D zone or something like that. So I was what the hell? And the security came to me, and they said you have to leave, you have to go away now. I'm what do you mean? It's the wrong flight. I'm what do you mean it's the wrong flight? It's not the wrong flight. Yes, it's the wrong flight. I can't get you, through it. You're not gonna get through. And I'm no, I'm late. I have to go. No. And the other security came to me, and he said, you have to leave. You have to go to your airline and ask them what's wrong. And I was okay. So I was pretty pissed off right now. So I went to the airline, and they were what you're doing here? I'm they don't want to let me through. And they were what do you mean? I'm I don't know. Why are you asking me what you mean? You are the expert, right? So I was okay. We went there with this guy. from Flybe, and we went there to security, and the security said, like, I can't do it, like, she's not in the system. And they kept saying, so the person from Flybe kept telling me I was late at this point, that's why I'm not in the system anymore, which is weird. It doesn't make sense to me, because it was still, the gate wasn't closed at that point, and I checked my luggage. That means obviously the luggage is going into the airplane, and I checked in, so that means, like, if I check in on the security right now before the gate closes, I can still make it, right? So basically they told me, like, I'm too late, but the Flybe guy just tried to convince security that no, she's not too late and she can still make it. And I was like, okay, so I don't know what's the situation. And they basically were going like back and forth. And the security guy called someone on the walkie-talkie. They put me some stamps on the boarding pass for some reason. And they escorted me, like, I jumped the queue of the security, and I started running towards my gate. And I got there pretty quickly, and there was, like, literally no one there. But it was, like, no trace of a human being for quite a while. And even, like, when I looked outside, are there in the bus, or, like, there was absolute emptiness, like, anywhere around. And, you know, normally when I fly, at this point, we're basically still in the queue, or people are still coming in, you know. And sometimes even when you are literally in the airplane, and it's like 10 minutes before departure or 15 minutes before departure, and people still come in, you know. And nobody called me for, like, last call to be like, oh, Nicole, blah, 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 can you come to the security, or can you quickly come to gate A1? Nothing. And that was just so strange, because I haven't seen this before. I felt like the flight left long time ago. Like, honestly, I felt like they are gone for a while. And it was really strange that they didn't communicate this with the staff at the front of the desk. So basically, like, from the departures, from the, you know, before the security. So, like, they didn't communicate, like, oh, we have one more coming, she's got the luggage. My luggage never made it to an airplane. So, like, what? I don't understand. Like, if they knew that they're not even going to take my luggage and I'm too late for everything, why didn't tell me right away? Like, listen, you're too late. Sorry, you're going to miss your flight. Can you just rebook the later one? And I would say, yeah, sure, no problem. But no, they let me through. Even I shouldn't go through security, obviously. I shouldn't have. So the question was, okay, there are two more flights later in like 1 hour and then 2 hours or 3 hours. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just rebook. However, I didn't know where my luggage is. And there's absolutely nobody in that zone after the security where you just basically have to board the plane. There's nobody there. Nobody from Heathrow. Nobody, just shops and coffees and people. And no Flybe kiosk. It was like Air Canada, blah, 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 for the overseas flights and so on. So I was like, who am I supposed to talk to? And then I went into the assistants, so Heathrow assistants, where they help disabled people and so on. So basically I found the guy there and I asked him, what am I supposed to do? And he said, oh, you have to go up and let me escort you. So I went up with him on the level 5 or whatever. And the guy there told me, no, you have to go down and you have to go from there. And I'm like, but where? Like, I didn't see any like information or anything like that. No, you have to go down and you will see there is like information, they will help you. I'm like, I haven't seen it. Like, yeah, you have to go. So I went down Of course, I couldn't find anybody, like nothing. So I was just going like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm pretty sure the security, like when they scan you on the like cameras, they can kind of see suspicious behavior of a person going back and forth. So I'm pretty sure I was just expecting security to come get me at that point. And because they couldn't scan my face for the entrance of the scanning my boarding pass. So I had this idea to see whether Flybe staff will be at the gate A1 again, basically for the next flight. So I went back and there was a guy. And I asked him, so I explained the situation. And I asked him like if he can help me, and then he phoned someone. It took forever, until somebody picked up. And he was asking about my luggage, and he was asking me like what to do. He was asking them about my luggage and about like what to do. And then he told me, okay, so my luggage never boarded the plane and it's still at the Heathrow, so I can get it. So I was like, oh. And he said I have to go out of here, but I have to go via arrivals. So basically I have to go to like a launch, and then there is like it's overseas flights, so they transfer. And it's the other way, so I went there and I had to tell the officer that I have to go the other way, so I have to go like in reverse. And I explained the situation. He was like, okay, yeah, go straight, right, straight, blah, 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 blah. And then I saw, so I went to security downstairs and I explained the situation, and he said, okay, you have to go to the arrival. So he let me out of the emergency exit and I went to the arrivals. Of course, UK border, right? So I'm like pretending that I just flew in from a country, but I actually haven't left the UK at all at this point. So I'm like, okay, there were at least 500 people in front of me in the queue. So I was like, great, this is going to be another 1 hour here. And I wanted to join the queue for EU citizens. And the guy from behind, from Heathrow, he was like, excuse me, where are you going? I'm like, excuse me? He's like, what passport do you have? I'm like, Slovakia. You have to go here. And he redirected me to non-EU passports. So basically like Korea, USA, Canada, Australia. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can go here. And he's like, no, you have to go to this queue. And he was quite rude to me, to be honest. I was like, okay, I'm not dealing with this. I joined the queue, and pretty much after a while, I just was like, I'm not doing this. Like the queue wasn't moving at all. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing this. I basically got out of the queue, and I wanted to join the other queue, and there was some lady from Heathrow, and she was like, what passport do you have? I'm like, I'm an EU citizen. It's an EU passport. And she's like, no. Which country? I'm like, EU country, bitch. Like, what do you want from me? So I was like, Slovakia, you know? You know where that is? And I was just like, I'm going. Get out of my way. And I joined the e-passport, of course, for EU citizens. And I'm a UK resident, by the way, as well. So I joined that queue and finally got to my baggage reclaim, and I found my luggage standing there. And it was the happiest moment of that day. And I hugged it. And I was like, okay, I'm good. So I'm like, okay, at that point, by the way, I missed both following flights. So I was like, okay, when is the next flight? I got off the airport, so I was at the arrivals. So I went, it was down, I think, or up, I don't know, to departures again. So I was like, I'm going to rebook and I'm going to board the next flight. I think the next flight was at 6 p.m. and it was 11 a.m. And I was like, I don't know whether I can do this again for no. for 7 hours. So I was like, okay, I'm not sure I can do this. But I was like, okay, just get some fresh air and, think about it. So I got out and I get some fresh air and I'm like, okay, like maybe I can do this. Like just think about it, And then I turned around and I realized the queue for security was actually leading all the way outside of the terminal, all around the car park. Like, I could not see the end of it. And at that point, I started having a meltdown. And I completely, I started crying. My client was calling me, like, did you rebook the flight? And I was just, crying. And I can't do it. I can't do this. I want to go home. I was literally crying to the phone. And I was like, I want to go home. And at that point, I was really scared to, come back to London as well. Like, how am I supposed to, get back at this situation? And in the end, I went home, right? And today, or actually yesterday, so Saturday, what happened was the Heathrow malfunctioning of scanning the bags or identifying them or whatever. So I'm pretty sure you've seen it in the media, just the ocean of baggages or of luggage. And it was Saturday and I was supposed to return Saturday with my luggage. So if I didn't miss that flight and I would return to London yesterday, my luggage would pretty much be somewhere on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter trending among other thousands of luggages. So in the end, I'm like, I've saved myself a lot of stressful situations, not to mention all my equipment was in the luggage. Not the camera, obviously, and laptop, but everything else, the lights, the tripods, the batteries, everything, microphones and so on. So I was just like, I don't know, I'm flying home next week, which I'm kind of terrified about it. And I'm flying from Heathrow again with British Airways this time. And pretty much, I'm thinking, okay, if I go and arrive to the airport very early, right? It doesn't help me because I talked to British Airways and they told me they will not open check-in more than 2 hours before the flight. So even if I come there early, I cannot check in. So what I have to do is come early and then queue for the check-in. So literally sit on the floor, find out which number I have to check in at, which is also quite tricky, right? And literally just sit there and to make sure I'm one of the first ones. So when the check-in opens, I can check in right away and join the freaking security queue, because otherwise I'm screwed. They don't care. They will not open check-in more than 2 hours before the flight. So they're not helping, to be honest, at all. Okay, so I'm not happy about this. And by the way, I was on BBC Radio this morning talking about this, which was super stressful but fun. And and yeah, there was article on it on me as well online. So at least something good came out of it, I guess. But I'm super terrified for next week. If you have any tips or any questions, you can comment below this video. I'm going to answer those questions and we can maybe kind of make it work together on solutions. But it doesn't seem very well. It doesn't look very good so far. But yeah, let me know if you had any unpleasant experience or if you're scared to fly somewhere next week or any time. And yeah, we can basically share and we can cry together. If you like this video, subscribe, and for any questions, comment below. Good luck.